or if it connects to my next point, which is Ulamunk mentally ill? One possibility that I never really thought about until I saw somebody say it in the comments is that in a world where everything was pretty normal in Season 5 of Fargo, and there weren't really any supernatural entities that were present, could Monk just be thinking that he has this history to him that he's conjured up inside of his head? And could he believe that he's this person that is hundreds of years old, maybe even older? He could be suffering from delusional grandeur. This is when you believe to be something that you're not, or somebody that you're not, or he could have schizophrenia. We don't know anything about Ula's birthday, his age, where he came from, or his specific birthplace. He speaks in a way that feels severely outdated. He covered himself with blood after killing an animal, killed several people, and didn't even think about it in the slightest. Plus, he also broke into Roy's house and above his children's bed whilst they were sleeping there. He painted a symbol in blood. It's definitely safe to say that there could be something up with him. He does have some kind of mental illness. He's not the sanest person in the slightest, and he had an ominous dark edge. Let's also remember as well, if Nick had been alive for hundreds of years, you would have imagined that he would have moved with the times and not still been stuck how he was several hundred years ago. So there's definitely a case for Ula being a mentally unstable person, and actually just being the age that he looks. So which one is he? I think the beauty of the character is we'll never truly know the answer. The actor himself doesn't even know what to believe, as he mentioned in an interview that he interpreted the flashback from hundreds of years ago to be either Monk himself or an ancestor. So if it is an ancestor, then the sin could have been passed down through generations to Monk. Or if it is Monk, it could just be a delusional vision. Or it could be real, and Monk is the oldest person on the planet. So there's a lot of complexity to the true identity of the character. If it is eventually revealed that he's a mentally unstable person, then I wouldn't be surprised. But I kind of like the idea that Ula Monk is this person that has seen sin and the atrocities that people have committed over time. And that's why he has the personality that he has. Because he knows how dark the world can be, and he's been on the suffering side of it. It adds a more interesting edge to the show, and the side that it's relatively alien to it. Ula Monk had some classic lines in this season. He was a fantastic character to watch, and despite not being a hero, there was some kind of heroic edge to the character. What started as a man that went on to kidnap Dorothy in her own home, concluded with him breaking bread around the table with her, him washing his hands of all of the sins that he once had, and him being free. It was a beautiful way to round off the character, while still leaving that ominous nature about rebellion. So, there you have it, Fargo Season 5, Ula Monk Explained. If you want to see more videos on Fargo Season 5, then click on the card in the top corner. Or if you'd like to see a breakdown of the 1996 Coen Brothers movie, then that's on my channel. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. Do you think Ula was actually hundreds of years old? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.
I'd better get going.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the 176th episode of Analyzing Evil, featuring Lord Malvo from Fargo. Many of you enjoyed the episode I made covering the Fargo film that I released last month, so I took that as a sign that it was about time to cover another popularly requested character from the same universe. Now, I'd only started watching the Fargo show recently for this video, and once I saw Lorne in action, he instantly became one of my favorite villains, which is no surprise considering another film that was one of the villains, and on Spirit, he's also one of mine, I'm sure many of your favorites too. Though not quite as mysterious as Anton, Lorne is as much a brutal anomaly as he is, and in this video, we're going to attempt to understand how someone develops into a creature like Lorne Malvo, running through all the hints given in the show that might clue us in on some important details of this person, as we examine all the intricacies of the actions he takes throughout the story. Now, this is the part where I typically tell you that we have some business to take care of before we go any further, and we do. However, I am especially excited about this sponsor, and I think it's one of the coolest things I've seen about in recent years, so I encourage you to stick around for a moment to hear about a new app that just launched. Love reading, but hate carrying books to work. Appreciate good animated stories, but too tired from the commute. And you falling victim to endless doom scrolling? If only there was a way to rewatch cool animation and replace doom scrolling, all during your commute. Introducing Storyverse. Storyverse combines short story prose and stylistic animation to provide you with new way to experience stories. All these stories are original and exclusive to Storyverse, and they're catered to mature audiences with complex themes and deep character development. Also, all rewatch experiences are uniquely created by talented writers and animators from around the world. So go on, download Storyverse now. I mean it, go download it now. Now without further ado, let's begin. So in order to follow along with what we're about to discuss, it's important that you know who Lord Malvo is and what he's about, as even if you've seen the show, a little refresher might be helpful going forward. Lord Malvo is a hitman who's seemingly based out of my home city of Reno, Nevada. Lorne is highly proficient at his job, showing a high level of cunning and intellect as he outmaneuvers nearly everyone he encounters. However, the evil of Lord Malvo doesn't rest steady in his profession, as Lorne is fond of taking time out of his busy schedule to hang out and city's designs of a more personal nature. At varying points in the story, we find Lord committing acts of corruption, murder, or torment that have nothing to do with his profession. He murders a man named Sam Hess for the sake of another, Lester Nygaard, who's a pushover that never stands up for himself, and turns Lester into a killer in his own right, which sets off the main events of this story. We see him convincing a young man to urinate in his mother's gas tank, and then afterwards calling her to notify her that he's doing so, to cause as much pain in that situation as he possibly can. We see him utterly destroying the man's life, Stavros Milos, by replacing his prescription with Adderall, killing his dog, and sending manufactured illegal waste to haunt him in order to blackmail him. We also see him telling children to move into the house where Lester killed his wife, that people were murdered there, and that the house could be haunted. And he seems to do all these things for no other reason than his desire to do so. But the trick here is understanding why Lorne is what he is, and does what he does. Now, part of the allure of Lord Malvo is that he's a murderer, a walking death machine whose only reason for committing murder and tormenting others seems to be his desire to do so. And as much as a character like Lorne doesn't really need an extensive backstory in order to be a fucking villain, there's actually something Lorne inwardly says when he's having conflict with Stavros that I think reveals much about why Lorne is who he is. Once upon a time, there was a little boy. He was born in a field and raised in the woods. In the winters, he would freeze. In the summer, he would boil. He knew the name of every stinging insect. At night, he would look at the lights in the houses, and he would want. Why was he outside, and they in? Why was he so hungry, and they fed? It should be he, he says, and out of the darkness the wolves came this way. Now, there are a few times where Lorne uses parables from the Bible and stories to make his points, and in this moment, it appears that he's doing much the same thing. However, this seems to be a Lord Malvo original. But more specifically, it seems that this could be found in Lorne's possible backstory, and there's one reason in particular why we might be able to make the assumption that the little boy Lorne is talking about in the story is himself, Lorne's obsession with animals. There are several times in the story where Lorne is trying to make a point, and he chooses to make sense of allegories and analogies involving animals. When Lorne is talking to Lester on the night after his kids yes, he tells him that we used to be gorillas, and that all we had was what we could make and the fat. After Gus arrests Lorne for weeks, Gus decides to confront Lorne, and he asks him how he defies it weekly, to which Lorne responds with a riddle, asking Gus why the green eye can see more through the tree than the other color. And the answer to that question is because our simian ancestors were able to differentiate between different colors of green in the jungle, so they could spot predators more easily. When Lorne is going to Stavros to his home, he starts a conversation with him about St. Lawrence, who was burned alive by the Romans. Lorne asks if Stavros knows why the Romans killed him, to which Stavros responds that it was because he was Christian. Lorne offers him a different theory though. He states that he believes the Romans killed him because the Romans were raised by wolves. And what do wolves do? They hunt and they kill, as is their nature. Later in the conversation, he also comments on the Romans' murder of Jesus, saying that the Romans, who again were supposedly raised by wolves, killed a man that turned water into wine, because there are no saints in the animal kingdom, just breakfast and dinner. Lorne is alluding to the Roman foundation myth here, the tale of Romulus and Remus, part of which has to do with the two boys' abandonment and subsequent salvation they got to barrenness, and the she-wolf that suckled them became known as the Lupercal, near where the city of Rome was founded. In the same conversation, Lorne also comments on the Jungle Book, saying that the reason he never bought the story is because a boy who was raised by wolves then became friends with a panther and a bear, rather than becoming a killer, which to Lorne is ludicrous. Now there are two more stories that Lorne tells involving animals, but it's important that we discuss those a little later on. So between these four examples that Lorne gives us, what do they all have in common? Wolves, people being raised by wolves, predators, and our origination in the animal kingdom. But the most important thing to note about these examples is that all of them can be related in some way to the story that Lorne has Don tell Stavros over the phone. Now everyone is more than welcome to use analogies and allegories as they see fit, but the presence of such allusions alongside this mysterious story causes me to believe that this is no mere preference for animal-based comparisons. And in fact, I think it's fair to assume that he prefers using these types of analogies is because Lord Malvo was actually raised by wolves. But aside from Lorne's story and his animal-based analogies, there's a couple visual hints we're given that might have been included to point us towards making this connection. When Lorne is buying a police scanner from his black market contact, there's documentary-style footage of wolves playing in his van, and when Lorne is about to meet his maker at the end of the story, a lone wolf makes an appearance just outside the cottage he's holed up at. Either these things are coincidences, or they're meant to be subtle nods to Lorne's true nature. Also, here's a little bit of a fun fact. It's unknown if Lorne is just based out of Reno, or if he's actually from there. But either way, the University of Nevada Reno's mascot is the wolf pack, so maybe this is another nod to Lorne's character, but that's probably a stretch. Now, assuming Lorne was raised by wolves might seem like a stretch as well, but there is some basis for this notion in reality. There are likely numerous undocumented cases of children being raised by various animals that we're unaware of, but as for specific cases of kids being raised by wolves, there are currently 6 different examples we can look to. The first 3 chronologically are the Hessian wolf children, 3 children from different families who were found in the first half of the 14th century that were raised by Eurasian wolves in the forest of Hesse in what is now Germany. The first boy, who was abandoned at the age of 3 and found when he was 7, was eventually integrated back into society and welcomed into the court of Prince Henry of Liechtenstein, and though he became well adjusted in time, he was reported to have said he still enjoyed the company of wolves, more so than people. The second boy was far too feral and died shortly after being captured. The third boy was also able to rejoin society, and depending on the source, he either died shortly after he was discovered or lived to the age of 80. Next is a boy who wandered into the town of Hansburg in Uttar Pradesh, India in 1843, when he was around 12 years old, who seemed to have been raised by wolves. He learned to walk upright and understand hand signs, but he never spoke. Eventually, he was recognized by his parents when he was spotted at a bazaar he frequented, but his fate afterwards is unknown. Another boy by the name of Dina Sanichar was also discovered to have been raised by wolves in Uttar Pradesh in 1872 at the age of 6. This time they came near the city of Agra. Dina lived with humans for over 20 years, and he even picked up a smoking habit, but he never learned to speak and was seriously impaired for his entire life. Now in these 5 examples, you'll find a mixture of success and failure in regard to reintegration back into human society, and we could very well look at the 2 Hessian boys who managed to do so successfully and compare their lives to Lorne's. But the final known case of a person being raised by wolves is the one that we're going to pay special attention to, and that's the case of Marcos Rodriguez Pantoja of Spain. And to do so, we'll use an overview of the story that can be found on Wikipedia, which will be more than sufficient enough for what we're trying to accomplish here. Bear in mind though, that this entry has a lot of Spanish words in it, and I'm probably going to pronounce some of them wrong. Marcos was born in Añora, Spain, in the province of Córdoba. He migrated with his parents to Madrid, where his mother died giving birth to a child, who died shortly thereafter when Marcos was 3 years old. His father then married another woman, who already had a child found from a previous marriage. His stepmother subjected him to cruel abuse while she was in charge. In the 1950s, they settled in Puente Caliente, Ciudad Real, in the Sierra Morena, where they dedicated themselves to the manufacture of coal. By 1954, Marcos had spent much of his young life being abused by his stepmother. That year, he was sold or delivered to a local landowner who put him under the care of a goat shepherd. The child was to serve as a future replacement for the shepherd, but he was abandoned in nature after his death. In 1965, the Civil Guard found him after 11 years, living in complete isolation from human beings, and was the sole company of the wolves. The Civil Guard moved him to Puente Caliente by force, bound and gagged, as he howled and bit like a wolf. The police never brought charges against the father, who was still alive at the time, and when he recognized his son, he only reproached him for having lost his jacket. Nuns employed at a nearby hospital, along with a priest, taught him again the use of speech, how to dress, walk upright, and eat cutlery. He was admitted to the Hospital de Convalecientes of the Vallejo Foundation in Madrid, until he was reintroduced as an adult to life in society. He was sent to Mallorca, where he lived in a hostel, paying with his work. He did military service, and dedicated himself to work as a shepherd, and in the hospitality industry. Some of his acquaintances took advantage of him financially very often, through scamming and deception, as he suffered by having limited financial and cultural sense, given the many years he spent in complete isolation. After unstable living arrangements in Fuengirola, Malaga, where for a time he even lived in a cave, he moved to a village in the interior of Orense, Grande. There he was welcomed by Manuel Barandela Lozada, a retired police officer. Marcos called him the Jefe, and considered him to be family until his death. Currently, Marcos is sponsored by a Dutch family, being frequently invited by city councils, associations, and diverse organizations to give talks and narrate his experience. In addition, he's been interviewed in numerous television programs. In regards to the study of his case, the study of the case was carried out by the anthropologist and writer Gabriel Javier Manila, who between November 1975 and April 1976 interviewed Marcos Rodriguez in order to study the educational measures necessary for integration into society. The anthropologist stated that the causes of Marcos' abandonment were not fortuitous, but deliberate, and the result of a socioeconomic context of extreme poverty. The researcher also stressed that Marcos' survival was possible thanks to the basic skills acquired in the previous phase of his abandonment, as well as his extraordinary natural intelligence. During his isolation, the child learned the noises of the animals with which he lived, and used them to communicate with them, while little by little, he abandoned human language. Once he was again immersed in a social environment, after his rescue by the Civil Guard, he made a slow readaptation to human customs, still manifesting an adulthood reference for life in the field, and for animals, and he developed some animosity for the noise and smell of cities, considering that life with humans is worse than life with animals. He considers that the hardships he suffered once he was reintroduced into society could have been alleviated in large part if the state had intervened in time. If you're interested more in Marcos' story, there was actually a movie that was inspired by his life made in 2010, and it's called Entre Lobos, so check that out if you'd like to see a dramatization of Marcos' life. Now, aside from reintegrating into society and still being alive to this day, the most notable things about Marcos' story are the components of his personal upbringing that facilitated the survival of these wolves, as well as his successful rehabilitation, specifically the skills he developed when he was abandoned, as well as his heightened level of natural intelligence. I couldn't find anything to suggest that the creators of this series drew part of their inspiration for Lorne from Marcos' story, but if we apply what Marcos experienced to Lorne, who Lorne Malvo is, makes all the more sense. Imagine for a moment that Lorne's story is nearly identical to Marcos', only rather than being a Spaniard, he's an American, and instead of being reintegrated into society in a healthy way like Marcos was, Lorne definitely was not. Like Marcos, Lorne is exceptionally intelligent, and because he is rather well adjusted compared to the more severe cases we discussed, I'd say that Lorne was also abandoned at an age where he'd already learned to speak, after he had experienced horrific abuse by his parents. And considering Lorne during a conversation with Ruth Farmerson points out his daughter's wedding photo, and then comments in a rather thoughtful manner about how one doesn't hang sad pictures of things like a mother crying, a father looking angry, or a kid with a black eye, I think childhood abuse and trauma are very much a part of Lorne Malvo's story. The main difference between Marcos and Lorne, though, is that Marcos was either able to ignore whatever hatred he felt towards humans for abandoning him, or he was able to forgive them for doing so, and live a mostly well-adjusted and healthy life. But Lorne wasn't. Whatever Lorne went through was too much to forgive, and because at some point Lorne Malvo was the prey, a boy who was abused and thrown to the wayside by cruel and merciless human predators, that was forced to freeze and boil as his own kind enjoyed the comfort of their homes. Once he had lived amongst predators, he fully embraced the role of predator, learning from the wolves the most basic rules of the predator's role in the animal kingdom. Kill or be killed, hunt or starve, take what you can to survive, no matter who it might hurt, or who you're taking it from, and do so because you are a predator, and that is your right. To Lorne, the more predatory aspects of human existence became the purest, and in his view, the trappings of our society have erroneously suppressed these components of our nature, which would explain why he views one of the greatest empires in human history that was supposedly founded by wolves as one of the only positive forms of society we've ever had, and to return whoever he can back to the sanctity of predatorhood, while hunting for prey at the same time, became his singular focus in life, furthering the idea that the world is a dog-eat-dog world with no rules, as he believes it to be, and indeed, accomplishing these things seems to be the only thing that Lorne lives for. So Lorne became a hitman, not just so he had easy access to murder, so he could crush anyone that was trying to undertake that involved making those who had made him suffer more than he had, and also so he could have access to all the tools he would need to walk unhindered in a dangerous world where predators like Lorne would always be hunted and predators would engage him. Something that drives this notion home is Lorne's appearance and eating habits. Lorne is very skinny, and considering the only time we see him eat, he's chowing down on some broccoli, cauliflower, and egg whites, we can assume that he isn't too fond of eating more than he needs to provide his body with basic nutrients. Why this is noteworthy as far as his motivations are concerned has to do with something that Ruth Farmerson points out during this conversation with Lorne. Here we recounts the story of the case of mass murder that he was on back in 1979 in Sioux Falls, stating that there were so many bodies that if you stacked them on top of one another, they reached the second floor of the building. He says that he called it animal, but animals only kill for food. This is a fantastic point to make when applying the science thinking to his actions. Unlike a predator animal, Lorne the predator human doesn't actually need to kill in order to fill his stomach. So why does he do it? Some killers like Lorne do it for the thrill, others do it for sexual gratification, and others still do it for the pleasure that going out carnage brings them. For Lorne Malvo, the reason why he does what he does is because it nourishes his soul and it sates his true hunger. So Lorne Malvo only eats the bare minimum that he needs to stay off malnutrition, saving all the gratification that comes from filling one's stomach for what really matters, drinking the life force of others as he corrupts and torments all who he encounters, who he chooses to let live, recording the most pivotal moments of his conquest on tape for later consumption when he's forced to wait for a time between meals. What seems strange about Lorne's preferred method of satisfying his need to kill and corrupt, though, is that in the moments when Lorne is doing so, or when he's alone with himself and able to listen to these tapes, he only ever cracks the faintest of smiles when he manages to do so. Now, typically he's rather stiff in the way he conducts himself, moving little and expressing less as he's speaking to others, and as much as an absence of emotion is everyone's true resting point. Typically when a person is engaged in an activity they enjoy, there's a decent expression of emotion that accompanies such activities. So does Lorne actually enjoy what he does to others? Yes and no. It doesn't matter that he never outwardly expresses joy in these moments, as it's more than enough to know that Lorne lives his life for the thrill of the hunt, and fulfilling such a hunt doubtlessly comes with a certain amount of gratification. It's true that a man like Lorne, who is a psychopath with stunted emotions, might have significant difficulty truly expressing any emotions, let alone joy. But for Lorne the wolf, it's more than that. Just like eating food isn't necessarily something he does so he can derive pleasure from the taste of things, he doesn't necessarily kill, corrupt, or take from others for gratification either. He does it because he needs to. Wolves don't find overjoy in killing, they do it because they need to do it to survive. A wolf doesn't laugh or crack a smile when it has its next meal. It simply eats and then moves on to the next one. This is what killing, corrupting, and tormenting others is for Lorne. Meals. And though we can't see him expressing small amounts of joy at certain points in the story like I stated earlier, I imagine that just like a wolf who might be overjoyed when it manages to take down its target, the joy that Lorne feels here more so stems from his fulfillment of his designs in that moment, and the hunt itself, rather than falling pleasure from the results of said hunt. All of these things have made Lorne into a master of murder, a killer who has such a high level of intelligence that nearly every situation he's in, he always comes out on top. And with the resources provided to him by his profession, Lorne is able to mold himself to any situation, in any way he might need, in order to always stay 2 steps ahead of his quarry. Now, in his efforts to become the ultimate hunter, Lorne has become the embodiment of the classic phrase, a wolf in sheep's clothing. For though Lorne has ever been a wolf on the inside, he is extraordinarily adept at appearing to be an ordinary human being. His haircut might be a bit strange and off-putting, but Lorne is otherwise fully capable of blending into society and adapting himself to any situation he finds himself in. And we see Lorne at different points in the story effectively playing a lawyer, a pastor, and a dentist complete with qualifications to conduct dental work. When Lorne is playing a human, he's a very convincing human, and his semi-awkward gait and relatively offensive appearance does much to disarm others and earn their trust. What's so utterly terrifying about Lorne, though, is that any facade he puts on is just that, a very well-crafted facade, one that he can drop in an instant to reveal the monster he is underneath. Many people in the story comment on Lorne's eyes, saying that they're dead and devoid of warmth, but it's his ability to flip a switch, so to speak, that's more horrifying than the void behind his eyes. There are a couple times we've seen Lorne doing this, but the best example we're given is when he encounters Lester again in Vegas. At this point in time, Lorne is currently engaged in a new cover operation, wherein he's attempting to get in a man's good graces, so he can assassinate his brother, who's currently in witness protection. After Lester spots him in the casino, he approaches Lorne and attempts to speak with him, and Lorne responds by feigning ignorance and telling Lester to drop it, but Lester foolishly follows Lorne into an elevator, and here Lorne proceeds to challenge Lester as to whether or not he actually wants to do this, that is to say, press the issue, and force Lorne to acknowledge him and who he is. In this moment, Lorne had so far been keeping up a genial attitude in order to placate his entourage, but as Lester keeps pressing the issue, Lorne's face becomes a massive intensity of morbid curiosity, amused that this upstart of his own creation is daring to tempt the hungry wolf. After Lester confirms that this is indeed what he wants, Lorne proceeds to murder the 3 people with him, one whom he even taunted being his fiancée, and he does so with only the slightest twitch of his eye, afterwards commenting on how Bert's face had that classic shock of terror on it when he pulled out his gun. Now this is just one of the many examples of Lorne's absolute lack of mercy and empathy, but the intensity and animal-like curiosity he displays here can be found in nearly all interactions he has to a certain degree. But now it's time that we talk about the one thing that Lorne seems to enjoy above all others, corrupting and tormenting people. Perhaps being the right of all things human to accept much of his life has made it so Lorne has an animal-like instinct for human suffering and how to exploit it. As in every instance where Lorne manages to corrupt someone, he does so by exploiting a weakness within them to coax them into going against any preconceived sensibilities they might have. And it should also be noted that as a student of institutions, as he claims to be, Lorne has a keen understanding of the human society that's earned him that enables him to exploit people further by using the system to his advantage in so many different ways. When he meets Lester in the hospital, he's able to con him into halfway consenting to Lorne murdering Sam Hess because Lester has been stepped on his entire life and has enormous pent-up rage and frustration boiling within him. He manages to convince the young man he urinated as much as Tom Gaston because this boy too has taken a verbal beating from his mother for what is likely many years, and it took just one small suggestion from Lorne to try and get back at her in any way he could. Corrupting others in this way also leans into Lorne's penchant for tormenting others too, as when he twists someone into a shadow of himself, they inevitably cause further torment to others, like when Lester murders his wife, causes the murder of the police chief and his new wife Linda, and ruins the life of his brother Chaz in order to stay out of prison, or when the mystery man on one of his tapes is lamenting the fact that Lorne jumbled him up and ruined the lives of his family. Torment seems to be Lorne's overall goal when he's pursuing personal acts of terror, as it's ruining the lives of others is his ruin. That seems to be his true goal when corrupting others, as corruption is only another method that he uses to destroy lives. Part of the reason I think this is the case is because the tapes Lorne has collected are made the moment someone has reached a point where corruption has ruined their lives, and they're experiencing extreme torment as a result. Lester's tape consists of the turmoil he's experiencing after he's murdered his wife. The tape of the mystery man I mentioned earlier is similar in nature to Lester's tape. The tape we see him making of the conversation between Dart and Stavros is made at the culmination of his blackmail plot, when Stavros is at his most vulnerable and terrifying. And outside of corrupting others, when we see Lorne interacting with people in a negative way, he's typically tormenting them in some way, pestering a woman at a motel about her policies, and then alerting her to the misdeed that he just coached her son into committing, calling the son of the man he just killed, and convincing him that his dad was leaving all of his money to his younger brother, torturing a man by killing his dog, drugging him, sending manufactured plagues to his home and business, and even covertly alluding to the fact that he killed his dog by recounting a story of when he had to kill a dog in the past to him. He also takes a man to an exercise bike and kills a couple innocent people, so he's forced to die by cop, and he listens to the entire thing on a police scanner. And as I've already mentioned, he also tells some kids that people were murdered in the house they live in, and that it might be haunted. Everything Lorne does to people is always geared toward causing them some sort of misery that he can either witness or record to experience again later on. And Lorne does all he can to ruin people's perception of the world and bring their spirits down whenever possible, if not outright cause them physical harm or death in the process. While this is Lorne's preferred method of obtaining his meals, he's also more than happy to murder anywhere in the drop of a hat, with a finesse and confidence that shows us in so many ways that Lorne is perhaps one of the most skilled and deadliest assassins who ever lived. And while he doesn't get as much satisfaction from outright murdering someone as he does when he's able to play with them beforehand, I'm sure it's a nice little snack for the wolf when he can't find a better target to save his desires, especially when those kills are the result of a vendetta, as Lorne isn't above seeking revenge on others when he feels the need to, like when he massacres an entire gang based out of Fargo in retaliation for sending 2 men to kill him. And there's no telling how many dozens or hundreds of people Lorne has put down over the course of his life, whether that be professionally or personally. Now throughout this video, I've been putting forth the notion that Lorne is more so meant to be seen as a predatory animal than anything, but I've seen a lot of people compare Lorne and his actions to the devil, and in many ways, that's an apt comparison to make, as there are a few references strewn throughout the story that point us towards this conclusion, like Lorne guarding an eating comment when he's eating a piece of Luke's pie, or this particularly devilish imagery during the elevator scene. When you consider that the devil was the original predator and brought sin and ruin to our species by engaging in many of the nefarious activities we see Lorne partaking in, this comparison does make a lot of sense. While these illusions are certainly present, and Lorne might take some inspiration from the devil when playing with his food, I think a man who's so ingrained in animalistic behavior and ways of thinking, to the point that he even attempted to dominate another man by torturing the cafeteria in front of him, is more so meant to be seen as an animal with devilish inclinations rather than the devil himself. Even so, Lorne is terrifyingly evil, and to compare him to the source of all evil is more than appropriate. But now that we've discussed all the important aspects of Lorne's character, all that's left to discuss is how the story ends. And this ending puts us in on a central part of who Lorne is. As I've already mentioned, early on in the story when Lorne is arrested by Gus and then subsequently released, he asks him why you and I can see more shades of green than any other color. And the answer is because our primate ancestors needed to be able to differentiate the different shades to better spot predators. While this was Lorne's answer to Gus's question of why he could lie so easily, it planted a seed in Gus's mind that, like every other seed Lorne plants in people's mind, changed his perspective of the world and himself, giving him the opportunity to unlock his inner predator, like Lester unlocked his. Now when Lorne goes to visit Mr. Wrench in the hospital, one of the hitmen who was sent to kill him, he decided to release him so he wouldn't go to prison, and he does so because he and his partner had gotten closer to killing him than anyone else ever had. And if he was still sore about what happened, Lorne implores him to come and find him when he heals up so he can settle the score. But why would a man give another man who has a good reason to want to kill him an advantage in doing so? Because Lorne, for all the ways he can satisfy his urge for violence and torture, is bored. Lorne is the top dog in his world, a perfect predator who can outgame any prey or predator that he encounters. But what's the fun in staying top dog forever? Any man who's at the pinnacle of his game and never receives a worthy challenge is bound to grow bored with their supremacy. And Lorne Malvo had become such a man. So when he turns people like Lester or Gus into predators, or allows other predators to roam free, he's always looking to torment them yet yes, but deep down, he also hopes that one day pose a worthy challenge to him, a predator with a battle that will offer him only a few seconds of freedom and thrills. But Lorne also wants to go out on his own terms. As in one of his earlier stories that I read earlier, Lorne talked about Harris on Alaska that had been caught in a steel trap. This bear chewed bloody bone to get out of said trap, but it died in a stream about an hour later. However, Lorne adds that at least he went out on his own terms. Now, Lorne also seems like a man who wants to go out on his own terms, and giving another person the capability to murder you at some point might not seem like going out on your own terms, but it certainly is when you consider he was the one who gave them that capability, opening up the possibility that they would create for any game worth playing, that he could lose with dignity. For in the animal kingdom, there are no winners or losers, only breakfast and dinner, and that's why after being trapped by Lester and Gus confronts him at the end of the story, there's no begging, no pleas for mercy, just that same more novel stoicism as 3 shots are fired in his abdomen, and even with the incredible pain he's in, this animal of pure terror and drive manages to look up at a predator he's created and offer him a smile as blood spills over his lips. For Lorne Malvo, just like the bear who gnawed his legs for the trap, was an animal until the end, a creature that would never back down in the face of the greatest pain or death itself, and continue walking on until the last breath left his body. So in the end, who was Lorne Malvo? He was a man who likely had a life harder than most of us can ever imagine, a man who was forced as a child to endure abuse, abandonment, and a survival of the fittest scenario amongst the company of wolves. Taking the horrors he experienced in human hands to heart, Lorne adopted a worldview where only 3 things matter: predators, prey, and the hunt, and he made it his life's goal to become the most terrifying predator the world had ever seen, both so he could satisfy the desires he developed during his time among the wolves, and so he could return tenfold the pain and suffering that the world had inflicted upon him. Over the course of his long career, Lorne would orchestrate the death and suffering of countless innocents, and the torment and misery of who knows how many more. And while we can find much sympathy for a man who was turned into such a monster, Lorne, when it comes down to it, is a monster, an animal of sly cunning and merciless brutality, who's made a comfortable home for himself in a den of evil. Thank you all for tuning into this episode of Analyzing Evil, and I hope you've enjoyed. What are your thoughts on it? Let me know down below, and leave a suggestion for anyone you'd like to see featured while you're at it. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. A big thank you to all of our subscribers, our patrons, and anyone who's decided to honor me with a super thank. And a most violent thank you to those whose names you're seeing on screen now. Join the channel's Discord server and subreddit to interact with myself and the community, and follow me on the social media platforms listed below to keep up with the channel. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you soon.
Did I already search this place?
Hello everyone, and welcome to the 187th episode of Analyzing Evil, featuring our delayed patron pick for June 2024, the Governor from The Walking Dead. So the Governor was our patron pick for last month, and I would have had this episode out then, but I do try to do the most when it comes to covering these characters. And it turns out that not only does the Governor originate the comic series that inspired the TV series, but he's also featured in 4 novels as well, which adds a bevy of details that help to flesh out the comic book version of his character. So I needed a bit of extra time with this one. It's been close to 5 years now since I made my first video, and I say it's a crying shame that it's taken me this long to cover a character from The Walking Dead, so a little kick from the patrons in this regard was long overdue. So in this video, we're going to cover all there is to know about both the comic book version of the Governor, as well as his televised counterpart, using information from the comics, the aforementioned novels, Rise of the Governor, The Road to Woodbury, The Fall of the Governor Part 1 and 2, and of course, the celebrated TV series that propelled this franchise into the stratosphere. Now, as far as the structure of this video goes, we'll first examine all there is to know about the comic book version of the character before we move on to the show's version. And considering a lot of information between the two overlaps, my coverage of the TV version will be much shorter as a result, especially when you consider that the actor who played the Governor, David Morrissey, studied the Governor's backstory in the comics and the novels to get a better idea of how to portray the character. But there's really nothing short about this video if you couldn't tell, and there's a lot we need to discuss about who the Governor is on the silver screen. So for those of you who haven't read any of the comics or the novels, get ready to learn a lot about the horrors of one of the most iconic and renowned characters that the creators of The Walking Dead ever produced. Now, without further ado, let's begin.
Looks like one man.
While the Governor is only one man, Brian Blake, his story is intimately tied to that of another, his younger brother, Philip Blake. Brian Blake was born in 1968 in Waynesboro, Georgia to Rose and Ed Blake, and raised alongside his younger brother Philip, whom Brian describes as a shabby little bungalow on Farrell Street. Though Brian was the elder brother, Philip grew to be tall, strong, and confident, while Brian was small and weak. And due to the differences in their personality and size, it was Brian who relied on Philip to protect him in his youth whenever the need arose, despite the traditional role of the elder brother acting younger. While both Brian and Philip comment at various points on how their father was an abusive drunk who went overboard when punishing his boys, it's also said that their father attempted to fight his demons as best he could, and would infrequently fulfill the role of a loving father, despite his inadequacies. And it would seem that aside from the heavy-handedness of their father, Brian and Philip enjoyed their childhood in Waynesboro, with adventures in the woods and trips to the circus with their mother, being prominent members of theirs that indicates it wasn't all doom and gloom for the young Blake brothers. In accordance with his meek disposition in his youth, Brian would grow into a similarly meek adult, with his description in Rise of the Governor being the following: barely 5'7" and 2 heels, Brian Blake is a raw-boned scarecrow of a man scarcely able to fill out his black peg-leg jeans and torn Weezer t-shirt, a mousy goatee, macrame bracelets, and a thatch of dark Ichabod crane hair complete the picture of a 35-year-old Bohemian wage stuck in beard and limo. It isn't said here in this description, but Brian's voice is also described as being low and nasally. Once Brian graduated from high school, he went on to study at the University of Georgia in Athens, and here he studied comparative literature and obtained a degree that may involve a subject that Brian would later consider to be useless. Instead of finding a career in his degree field after college, Brian would enter the world of entrepreneurship, concocting numerous business ideas that his brother Philip considered to be harebrained, the latest one prior to the outbreak being the establishment of a music store in Athens that catered to rappers with bling-covered instruments and equipment, all of which he financed using his parents' money. At some point, Brian married a Jamaican woman named Jocelyn, who Brian describes as having been impulsive, volatile, and flaky, a woman who would vanish for weeks at a time, and even put all of Brian's belongings out on the stairs of their apartment building one night while he was at night school. After Brian's latest business had never failed and the music store closed, Jocelyn decided to leave him and move back to Jamaica, and with his wife gone and his finances in shambles, Brian chose to move back in with his parents, where he would remain until the outbreak began. In contrast to his elder brother, Philip Blake grew into a strong and imposing man who chose to take a different path in life. Philip's appearance is described thusly in Rise of the Governor: a tall, rangy, sinewy man with the ropey muscles of a tradesman. Philip Blake shares the same dark features as his brother, the same dark almond eyes, and coal black hair of their Mexican-American mother. Mama Rose's maiden name was Garcia, and her features had dominated the lineage over those of the boy's father, a big, coarse alcoholic of Scots-Irish descent named Ed Blake. But Philip, 3 years younger than Brian, had gotten all the muscle. He now stands over 6 feet tall in his faded jeans, work boots, and chambray shirt, with a Fu Manchu mustache and jailhouse tats of a tiger. Now, when Philip came of age, he chose to enter into the workforce, and he eventually married a woman named Sarah and fathered a child with her, his daughter Penny. Philip was every bit the man that his brother wished he could be, and for a time, Philip was content with his life as a hard-working family man. However, 4 years prior to the outbreak, Philip would lose his wife Sarah in a tragic accident, forever changing his world, as tragedies tend to do for any of us. Taking on 2 jobs to provide for Penny, Philip's entire existence existence was aimed towards providing for his daughter, and for 4 long years he led a grief-stricken life of constant toil that only hardened him further than the death of his wife already had. Now, aside from the obvious differences between the two brothers in appearance and character, we find that their experiences in life have served to both further differentiate the two in disposition and worldview, and drive a wedge between the two brothers, as the hardworking Philip would grow to resent his weak-willed family favorite of a brother who's only known the hardships inflicted upon himself through his various schemes, a man who always seems to get bailed out by their parents, while Philip has to contend with the hard realities of the world. It's through Ryan's aforementioned weakness that the two brothers were reunited by another following the outbreak, as after the news broke, Philip chose to gather up his two friends Nick and Bobby to take on the road with Penny and himself. Philip made a detour to Deering to check on his mother and father. When he arrived, Philip learned that the entire population of Deering had moved to a nearby military base for safekeeping, but for some reason, his brother Ryan had been left behind, and Philip found him holed up in his parents' deserted townhouse huddled in the basement crawl space. Due to his distaste for his brother, Philip had never expected to find him and bring him along with him on the road, but after encountering him here, he had no choice but to bring him along. Ryan would end up filling a valuable role in the group though, as due to his moral shortcomings when it comes to killing walkers, which we'll discuss in just a moment, Ryan is able to act as Penny's guardian and caretaker, while Philip and his friends deal with any threats, which brings him closer to both his brother and his niece, which will be important to keep in mind as we continue. Now, Philip had become well acquainted with tragedy and hardship, and through adversity, he learned that when life gets tough, the only things you can and should do is what you have to do. So when Philip was forced to contend with hordes of undead humans attempting to harm him or his group, he did what had to be done and annihilated them without a second thought. Ryan, on the other hand, a man with a generous soul, proved to be a burden to his brother's band in this regard right from the outset. Ryan, in the first days of the outbreak, was ever conscious of the fact that the walkers were once human, each with their own lives and families. But the hard reality of this situation is that people in turn are no longer people. Just as the body becomes an empty shell once they pass on, these walking death machines are nothing more than inanimate corpses fulfilling a singular function: consume all life that they come across, and to meet them with any sort of hesitation is a virtual death sentence. The difference between Brian and Philip in this regard is best exemplified in this passage from the beginning of Rise of the Governor, a scene where Brian and Philip are conversing after Brian finishes vomiting upon seeing the results of Philip and his friends clearing up the house they're holding in, while Brian hid in a closet with Penny. Brian gets himself under control, wipes his mouth with the back of his hand. You think you got all of them? I do. You sure? Yep. You searched everywhere, in the basement and stuff. Yes, sir, we did. All the bedrooms, even the attic. Last one came out hiding at the sound of that fucking cough, loud enough to wake the fucking dead. Teenage girl tried to have one of Bobby's chins for lunch. Brian gulps down a raw, painful swallow. These people, they lived here. Philip sighs. Not anymore. Brian manages to look around the room, then gazes up at his brother. Brian's face is wet with tears. But they were like a family. Philip nods, and he doesn't say anything. He feels like giving his brother a shrug. So what? But all he does is keep nodding. He's not thinking about the zombified family he just dispatched, or the implications of all the mind-numbing butchery he's already wreaked over the last 3 days, slaughtering individuals who were recently soccer moms and mailmen and gas station attendants. Yesterday, Brian had gone off on some old intellectual tangent about the difference between morals and ethics in this situation. Morally, one should never kill, ever. But ethically, which is subtly different, one should maintain the policy of killing, only if it's in self-defense. But Philip doesn't see what they're doing as killing. You can't kill a thing that's already been killed. What you do is squash it like a bug, and move on, and stop thinking so much. As important as it is to keep one's humanity in this kind of situation, Philip has the right idea here. But for weeks following the outbreak, Brian struggles to come to terms with this reality. The group stays at this house for a while, believing it to be a well-fortified position that they could potentially hold themselves up in indefinitely. But after they're set upon by a band of walkers, and Bobby is killed by one of the previous occupants of this house, a little boy who had hidden in the family's doghouse and subsequently turned, the group decides to make for Atlanta to try and find the refugee camp that's supposedly been set up there, leaving behind a sign that states all are dead in Wilshire Estates that Rick and his group would later encounter. This occurs roughly a week after the outbreak began, and on their way to Atlanta, their Suburban gets stuck in the mud. And even as Philip rages outside the vehicle attempting to fight off a horde of walkers, Brian still has some hang-ups about what exactly is and isn't okay in regard to killing walkers, and what that killing can do to a person. His brother is everything to him. His brother is the key. But something is happening to Philip, something horrible, and it's beginning to gnaw at Brian. What are the rules? These walking abominations deserve everything Philip is dishing out, but what are the rules of engagement? Now, as I said before, we can't really fault Brian for being hesitant about killing walkers, as it is a harrowing business even if it is necessary, and Brian is correct about killing walkers having an effect on some people, which in Philip's case is made evident by passages like this that we receive when he's clearing a warehouse. On his way back toward the front entrance, he discovers a fourth one in the shadows, caught between two massive paper rolls. The bottom half of the former forklift operator is wedged between the building white cylinders. The top half of the creature repulses and flails, its milkstone eyes stupidly awake. What's up, Bubba? Philip says as he approaches with the gun at his head. Another day, another dollar, huh? The zombie chomps impotently at the air between his face and Philip. Lunch break overdue? Chomp. Eat this. The 22 caliber blast echoes as the slug smashes through the forklift operator's overall, turning the milky-eyed black. Philip admires his work of art, the scarlet tendrils on that field of heavenly white, for quite a long time before going to get the others. This is obviously concerning, and while for some, constantly killing monsters with human faces can be a slippery slope that lets out one's inner demons, and is certainly something to take into account, in the case of Philip Blake, it's not necessarily the killing that has an adverse effect on him, but the stress that comes along with the leadership role, and the fervent desire to protect your loved ones. Philip became the de facto leader of this group from the outset, and while his daughter's safety is his primary concern, Philip bears the burden of having to guide and protect 3 people whilst also preserving his own life, and for the average person, not the exceptions who take advantage of these types of situations to play out any dark fantasies or inclinations they might have. This is the greatest danger they face in their persons, outside of the obvious danger that constantly comes from walkers, of course. Philip has to make the decisions. Philip has to guide his people to safety, bearing a stressful load that would weigh on any person's psyche. But when you factor in that the entire world has been flipped on its head, and you're only seconds away from life-threatening danger at any moment, danger that can spell the loss of those you're responsible for or yourself, and you have a recipe for potential mental instability that could infect even the strongest will amongst us, which is exactly what happens to Philip. For a time, things seem to be going smoothly for the Blake group, as they manage to find refuge in Atlanta with the Chalmers family. But after Philip assaults one of the Chalmers sisters that he had fallen for in the heat of passion, April Chalmers, and the group are forced to leave Atlanta for greener pastures, things take a drastic turn for the worse. The group chance upon a plantation-style manor where they set up base camp, but all the while they're being followed by a ragtag band of addicts, who end up forcing them out of this house after a tense standoff. As they're fleeing, these interlopers decide to take it upon themselves to not just take everything that the Blake group has, but to put them down. And in the ensuing chaos, Penny loses her life, while Brian is attempting to keep her safe, as per his brother's instructions. Brian hardly hears the gunman now, pounding toward him, the snap of the pump injecting another shell. Penny's little shirt, a cotton t-shirt, is soaked with deep scarlet, the ragged exit tear at least 6 inches in diameter. Grains of earshot propelled by a 20-gauge shell are powerful enough to penetrate steel, and it looks like the child took at least half the expanding cloud of shot through her back and out the side of her tummy. The gunman closes in. Brian lifts the child's shirt and lets out an almost primal moan of anguish. His hand pants lost and bleeding. Brian presses his hand down on the wound. He rips a piece of the shirt tail and tries to plug the jagged hole in the midsection, but the blood is everywhere now. Brian stammers and cries and tries to talk to her as the oily blood seeps through his fingers, and the gunman draws near. It's okay. You're gonna be okay. We're gonna get you fixed up. It's gonna be fine. You're gonna be all better. Brian's arms and waist are baptized in the warmth of her life force draining out of her. Penny utters a single feeble whisper. Away. No, Penny. No, don't do that. Don't go away yet. Not now. Don't go away. Obviously, this is a harrowing moment for Brian, but that's nothing compared to what it does to Philip once he arrives on the scene. Philip drops to his knees by the dying child. He scoops her up and tenderly touches the gaping wound as though it's just a boo-boo, just a scrape, just a little bump. He draws her into an embrace, her blood soaking him. Brian lies on the ground a few feet away, breathing the musty earth, a curtain of shock pulling down over his eyes. Nick stands nearby. We can stop the bleeding, right? We can fix her up, right? Philip cradles the bloody child. Penny expires in his arms in a breathy little death rattle, which leaves her face as white and cold as porcelain. Philip shakes her. Come on, Pumpkin. Stay with us now. Come on. Stay with us, please. Stay with us. Please stay with us. Pumpkin? 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 The terrible silence hangs in the air. Sweet Jesus, Nick utters to himself, his gaze going down to the ground. For the longest time, Philip holds the child while Nick stares into the dirt, silently praying. For most of that time, Brian lies prone on the ground 5 feet away, crying into the moist earth, babbling softly more to himself than to anyone else. I tried. Happened so fast. I couldn't. It was... I can't believe it. I can't...
In Chihuahua, Mexico, a man named Lalo Salamanca resided. On the surface, he appears someone full of charm and charisma, and a person who spreads positive energy.
Hey guys! Oh!
He takes good care of his housekeepers and guards, he helps other people in the city financially, and he always has a smile on his face. However, this same smile is no more than a mask that deceives his victims, as he carries out some of the most evil acts of terror. Murder, manipulation, and torture are all too common for Lalo, and his depth of skills allowed him to evade capture for years. And in this video, I want to break down his psychology and explore the dark mind of Lalo Salamanca.
Well, who's Lalo? Me? Nobody. He's a fucking Lalo Salamanca! So, tell me what happened. Lalo Salamanca is going to die. To my home, trying to get to you. You know what they did? They killed people I care about.
We had a monster in custody. We just let him walk right out of jail. We failed. The whole system just failed. This guy killed a 22-year-old kid. Dead.
Buying with Gus, and that's when the hunt begins. One of Gus's men, Mike Ntro, had been taking chase of a German engineer, Werner Ziegler. Lalo shows to keep up with the chase, but manages to notice Mike had been in a money transfer office in trouble while. Lalo goes inside and attempts to manipulate the young employee named Fred to give him the information on Werner or Mike, but his queries came to no avail.
So, I was wondering if there's maybe something that, my friend missed.
I showed him everything I got.
Oh, you showed him?
Maybe you should just call your friend.
I did, and, you told me to come back to get a look. I really appreciate it.
I can't. I'm sorry. You better just call the police.
So Lalo takes matters into his own hands, and when Fred turns around to take a call, Lalo somehow manages to quietly climb through the roof panel and jump back down again on the other side of the class, now pointing the gun at Fred. At this point, Lalo could have easily coerced Fred into giving him the information. Not many people's job, especially not Fred's, is important enough to die for, and now at gunpoint he probably would have been willing to give answers, but Lalo doesn't take this route. Instead, he brutally beats Fred to death. He watches the camera footage that gives him clues on Werner and Mike's whereabouts, and once he has his information, he burns down the building, along with Fred's corpse. Lalo is clearly disturbed. Fred Whalen was in his 20s and his murder was unjustified. Perhaps Lalo wants to leave no witnesses to any crimes he does. But instead of at least shooting him with the gun in hand to quickly put him down, it's later recorded in his autopsy that Fred died from blunt force trauma to the head, leaving his skull fractured. It's easy to assume, well, Lalo didn't use the gun as he didn't want to draw attention before he could watch the footage. But throughout the show, Lalo is constantly seen having a silencer attachment on hand to kill his victims swiftly and quietly. So the fact he chose to brutally beat Fred, both to a quick shot, draws me to explore Lalo's sadism. Now, there's still a lot of actions yet to be covered, so this isn't everything, but it gives us a viewpoint to assess his past and future actions. The chief component of sadistic personality is taking pleasure in cruel, demeaning, and aggressive behaviors as a means of control. Criteria for the conditions listed in the DSM-3R has a pervasive pattern of at least 4 of the following, which are the much for adolescents. We see obvious signs of Lalo in here already, such as amusement from witnessing the psychological or physical pain of others, even choice to memory of torturing the hotel manager with Hector and burning the body, even keeping a bell from the hotel as a souvenir or a trophy. This could also be considered fascination with violence, weapons, and torture slashes. We also don't know what he did to Fred before murder. Presumably nothing as he was short on time, but it was off camera so we just don't know. All we know is that he was beaten to death. However, his actions only got worse from here, and he definitely ticks off more of his criteria as the story proceeds, so I'm going to put it aside for now, but keep his criteria in mind. Another condition to take a look at is Lalo's psychopathy. Correctly named antisocial personality disorder, or ASPD for short, it's a personality disorder characterized by impulsive, irresponsible, and often criminal behavior. Someone with ASPD will typically be manipulative, deceitful, and reckless, and will not care for other people's feelings. The founding psychopathy psychologist Robert Hare devised a checklist with 20 items. Each item gets ranked on a scale of 0 to 2, based on the severity of the criteria in the person being examined. And when the patient is assessed and the scores get added up, the number has to surpass 30 out of 40 to be deemed as suffering with ASPD. When doing my own assessment of Lalo, I had results that may surprise you. So in terms of criteria, it fits. There's many obvious ones like pathological lying, shown with Fred, or an obvious lack of remorse or guilt in the way that he and Hector reminisce over the torture and murder of the hotel manager. But there's ones that he surprisingly doesn't do. For example, glibness or superficial charm. They would be present if this was all of them.
Fala galera, aqui na área, bora conferir os melhores games por menos de R$5 na melhor essência Mercedes dos últimos anos. Esse é o segundo dos famosos vídeos da Pindaíba que a gente faz aqui todo evento de promoção da Steam, onde além dos jogos serem baratos, só que custa menos que R$5, a maioria roda em várias batatas gamers, então dropam cartas colecionáveis na Steam. Bom, assim como eu fiz um vídeo de jogos por menos de R$10 ontem, hoje eu preparei também algumas ofertas de outras lojas para melhorar um pouquinho a qualidade das ofertas, porque tem jogo que tá mais barato na Steam, em outras lojas, ou tá mais barato nas outras lojas do que na Steam. E é claro que por isso vamos conferir juntos nesse vídeo cerca de 140 games, tá? Obviamente não vai dar pra colocar trailer de jogo, porque é 140 jogos, pelo amor de Deus. Então vocês vão ter que me incluir aí de novo. Tá, entre os destaques aqui, ó, a gente tem oferta pra Titan Quest, Anniversary Edition, Bioshock 2 Remastered, Half-Life 2, Hero Siege, Left 4 Dead Bundle, Portal Bundle, Limbo, tem muito jogo bom por menos de R$5, porém antes, não esqueça da carta colecionável do dia. Todo dia a partir das 2 horas da tarde até o final do evento, dia 11 de julho, vocês podem resgatar uma carta grátis aqui na Steam, tá? É só você abrir a homepage, desce tudo aqui, ó, procura aqui, ó, lista de ofertas, ó, explore grandes ofertas, jogo a jogo, é sua lista de descobrimento, então você tem que ver essa lista inteira uma vez por dia pra ganhar sua carta colecionável grátis da Summer Sale. Daí o que eu faço com essa carta? Bom, você pode vender no mercado Steam por aproximadamente 17 a 20 centavos, ou você pode criar a